Hello and welcome to Governmental Accounting and Auditing. My name is Dean Mead and I am your professor for this course. I don't want to belabor my background. There's a bio that's on the course website that you're free to look at, but the point I would emphasize is that I am a financial statement user by trade rather than an accountant. I am an academic by practice, a researcher, and have spent now the sizable majority of my career working for the Governmental Accounting Standards Board, the body that sets the standards that state and local governments follow when they prepare their audited financial reports. So I have some unique perspective into how standards are established and what the purpose of the standards are, because I was there for the establishment of many of the standards that you will be studying in this course. As you look at the course website, you will see that each unit has its own tab, and under each tab you will see the following components. An initial explanation of what the objectives of the unit are, what you're going to be covering, a link to a mini lecture. They're usually about 10 minutes or so long, where I'm really just sort of touching on, here are the main things that you want to make sure that you get out of the reading from that week's chapter in the textbook. There are a set of PowerPoint slides that are prepared by the authors of the textbook, so they very closely follow the order and content of that chapter. Buzzwords, which are main vocabulary that you want to make sure you understand fully. Self-study questions, which are just intended to help you assess that you understand what you have just been reading. Then that week's assignment, and I'll talk more about that, and that week's CAFR discussion, threaded discussion in the website, and I'll say more about that as well. You will also notice that some of the units have additional resources that you can link to online, some additional readings. Those are optional, I think, in just about every single case. And if it's something that I think is really worth looking at, I will make a point of emphasizing that, but they're there for, for your edification, for your information, and I do encourage you to take a look at them if you have the time. So let's make sure that you're ready to get started on this course. If you haven't done so already, you need to read through the syllabus closely. You need to order the textbook because it may take time, unless you're purchasing the McGraw-Hill Connect thing that gives you instant access to the electronic version of it. If you're waiting for it to be shipped, it can take a little bit of time. You're fortunate in that the first unit isn't just a week long, it's actually almost a full 2 weeks long, so that gives you a little bit of time, but you want to make sure that you have that textbook as quickly as possible. You need to listen to the welcome message, put a check mark there, you're doing that. There are 2 additional threaded discussions in the first unit, apart from the assignment discussion thread. One is for you to introduce yourself. You should make sure you've done that by Friday, September 11th. Is it Friday? It's Friday or Sunday. I can't remember. I'm sorry. I don't have a calendar in front of me. But make sure you do it by September 11th. And then you also need, for the weekly CAFR discussion, threaded discussion, you need to select a state, and you're going to use information from their CAFR, or Comprehensive Annual Financial Report, to answer that threaded discussion question every week. So you need to go in and look at that threaded discussion, make sure that somebody else hasn't already chosen your state, and then post to let us know what state you're choosing. And also, while you're at it, why don't you just let us know why you've chosen that particular state. But if somebody else gets in there first and posts before you that they've chosen that state, then you're going to have to choose a different state. So make sure that you get in there and post which state you're using as quickly as possible, and also make sure you go to their website and obtain their fiscal year 2015 annual financial report. There's more in the syllabus about how to do that. The grading of the course is broken down as follows. Obviously, the midterm exam and the final exam are the big pieces of your grade. Combined, they're 80%. The discussion thread and the weekly assignments are each worth 10% of your grade, so they're each equally important, and both need to be given full attention. The discussion thread is not just if you want to do it kind of thing. It's worth 1/10 of your grade, and so it's important that you fully participate in it in order to make sure that you get full credit. Speaking of the threaded discussion, the point here is not just to treat this like it's just another assignment. We're really looking for a discussion here. So, questions will be posed, which you will need to answer by looking at the CAFR of the state that you've chosen, and you will make an initial post providing your answer. But then you should be reading the posts of your fellow students, and if something catches your eye or interests you, you should respond to their post. Pose questions to them, or offer your own insights, and make this a real discussion. I think you will find that I will be very involved in that discussion early in the semester to help get it moving and give you a sense of how it can work. But ideally, after the first few weeks, I will only post periodically in the threaded discussion as something piques my interest. But the idea is for you guys to have the discussion, and for me to moderate that discussion, and to step in and offer insights when questions come up, rather than to be the person who is driving that discussion. And again, and I'll say a little bit more about this on the next slide, this is not an insignificant part of your grade, so you do need to treat it seriously. To get full credit, to get that 10%, you need to post an initial entry, your response to the question that's been posed, by midnight on Friday in your time zone, and then post a follow-up entry by midnight on Sunday of that same week. I will be looking to see that you've provided a meaningful response and a meaningful follow-up post, and that follow-up post then is going to be either answering questions that have been posed to you, or posing questions to your fellow students or to me, but it's substantive. It's not just hey, I was thinking the same thing, or hey, nice post, Joe. That's not substantive. The posts need to be substantive. And I do provide extra credit, if you respond beyond those 2 required posts, and those additional responses are meaningful interactions with your fellow students, that involve substantive discussion. I will provide extra credit for those. And so I won't close out the grading on a threaded discussion until the end of the following unit. So, for instance, the discussion that's taking place in Unit 1, you can continue to post in that thread, subsequent to the end of Unit 1, all the way until the end of Unit 2, at which point I will then take a look at the posts, and I'll assign grades for that unit's posts. You can continue to post in that thread, but I won't be going back to look at it for the purpose of grading after that. So you've got a full extra week to provide additional responses beyond the 2 required responses, and earn extra credit. Regarding the assignments, they too are worth 10% of your grade. There is one for each week, and you will find that each of them has some multiple choice questions. Sometimes they have matching or short answers. A lot of them, especially when we start to get into the nitty-gritty of how the accounting for different transactions works, you'll get some transaction analysis, some journal entries. Sometimes even you'll be required to prepare a very small financial statement from the information in the question. When you have completed your assignments, you submit them through the Dropbox on the course website. You need to make sure that you do that by midnight your time on Sunday of each unit. If assignments are submitted late and I've done the grading for them, you run the risk of not getting any credit for your assignment. As a practical matter, most of the time you can submit in Word, in a Word document. But if you're doing things in tables, and you're using Excel, then please don't copy and paste the Excel tables into the Word document and just submit the Word document. If you do something in Excel for the assignment, submit both your Word document and the Excel document, because if you copy and paste Excel into Word, I can't correct or easily comment on what you've cut and pasted into the Word document. If you submit it in Excel, then I can provide comments and corrections, and I can also, if you've done something that involves formulas, I can look behind that and see what you've done, and that gives the potential for partial credit. The two exams, the midterm and final exam, are both on Saturdays at 1 p.m. The midterm Saturday, October 29th. The final Saturday, December 17th. Both will open at 1 p.m. They'll remain open until 5 p.m., which means you can enter any time in that 4-hour stretch, and you will be given the full time for the exam. I think that although don't hold me to this, I think the midterm is 2 hours long and the final is 2.5 hours long. That's the maximum amount of time you have. I don't think you'll need that amount of time, but you do have that much time, and you will get that full amount of time no matter when you start the exam. However, I need to emphasize, and I will repeat this again as we get close to each exam, that 1 to 5 time slot is when I will be available to answer questions. I can't, make myself available for an even longer period of time than that. There needs to be some limit on it. So it will behoove you to start the exam at or close to 1 o'clock, so that you'll be done by 5, so that you can be certain that if you do have any questions, I will be available to answer them. And I may be available beyond those hours, but I can't guarantee it. I can guarantee you that I will definitely be available between 1 p.m. and 5 p.m. Eastern Time on those 2 dates when the exams are being provided. I will provide more information about the nature of the exams as we get closer to them, and provide you with a slide presentation highlighting things from each unit that you should be certain that you understand fully before going into the exam, but you will see that when we get to within 2 or 3 weeks of the exam itself. One thing I will mention is that they are entirely multiple choice. So whereas the assignments have a lot of different types of questions, the exams are entirely done in multiple choice. If you need to contact me, the easiest way to do so is through my email. I usually will respond within 24 hours. If the issue that you're raising is something that would be easier to discuss on the phone, then we'll arrange a time to talk on the phone. My phone number is there, but I do ask you to try my email first, because that really is the easiest way to get me. And most of the time, I'd say 90% of the time, the questions that I receive are questions that are very easy to answer, and that I can answer very easily using email. With that, I wish you the best of luck this semester. I'm looking forward to getting to know you. Please don't hesitate to reach out to me if you have any questions about the course. Thanks a lot.